shoulder, close like you've been since you slid over, close like that sun is the going down. That's what I wanna be now. Close, you know, maybe we can fly from some heaven tonight, take it to a place we've never been. Maybe we could chance it, first kiss landed, diving off the edge, baby, going all in. Let it go where it wants to go. Yeah, we might not fall in love, but we can sure come close. We can sure come close. Yeah.
Welcome in, sports fans, and thank you for downloading, streaming, and listening to this, the first ever episode of Young Sports, a podcast that will primarily focus on local prep athletics in Western Kentucky, but that will never shy away from any topic or guest. My name is Chris Jung, the sports editor of the Kentucky New Era in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, and I am beyond excited to be your host and to be launching this new venture. Before I get any further along, a big thanks to Warner Brothers recording artist Ryan Kinder for providing his new single, Close, as the intro song for the Young Sports podcast. Ryan's an up-and-coming artist out of Nashville, an awesome soulful southern style and sound that he's got, made his Grand Ole Opry debut last year, and his new single, Close, as you heard in the intro, is now available on iTunes, and I am so thrilled to have Ryan's music open our show, and he'll certainly be joining us as a guest here in the near future. I know he's a big sports fan, a big Titans fan, in fact, but look forward to having him involved, and like I said, thrilled to have his music as a part of our intro for Young Sports. Today's episode, the first episode, will be considered, I guess, the college syllabus version of the show. Really a swift, concise look at what you can expect, why you should be excited about what's ahead, and hopefully when you can anticipate getting to listen to the Young Sports podcast in the future. This is something that we hope will take off and that will continue. I have every plan to continue doing at least one of these a week, and we hope that you'll come along for that ride. It's been probably nearly a decade since one of my best friends and fraternity brothers, Stephen Valley, introduced me to the world of podcasting, and he was really one of the first people to ever suggest that I even give it a shot. So here I am, honored to be joining you in your car, at your office, on the beach, or wherever you might be listening. I'm so grateful you made it even this far into the show, and really do hope that you'll return on a weekly basis to enjoy this free podcast, and it will be free wherever you're downloading it from. An opportunity to hear some neat things, some great stories, some great guests and interviews, and it's only going to get better. So thank you for giving it a shot today. I am coming to you from the Kentucky New Era Studios in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, a place that I've called home for nearly 3 years, with my wife, Brooke, who is the Solar Eclipse Coordinator for the city of Hopkinsville. What is that, you ask? I guess I'll give her a quick plug. Hopkinsville, which is also known to its residents as Hoptown, is going to be the premier spot along the August 21st solar eclipse line of totality between Oregon and South Carolina. It's the first solar eclipse since the early 1970s in North America, first total solar eclipse. And Hopkinsville, Kentucky, believe it or not, where we've lived, like I said, almost 3 years, is going to act as the point of greatest eclipse for that solar eclipse on August 21st for nearly 2 minutes and 40 seconds, the longest of anywhere in the country. You'll be able to see the solar eclipse for longer than anywhere in terms of totality, and it's pretty neat that the way it's lined up, and that Hopkinsville is going to morph into Eclipseville for those 2 minutes and 40 seconds of this astronomical astoundment. We're expecting, I believe, 50,000 people approximately during that weekend, and I know that Brooke and the good folks from the city of Hopkinsville are already hard at work planning numerous festivals and events that will lead up to that historic moment in science and space. So hopefully you'll consider joining us in Hoptown, Eclipseville, August 21st, 2017. just a few months away. It's going to come fast. But that's Hopkinsville's current claim to fame, if you will. But when it comes to the everyday life in Hoptown, sports, in my opinion, are king. And over the years, this part of Western Kentucky has produced some of the most successful teams, some of the most impressive student athletes, well known for our basketball, especially when you talk about guys that have come through here and won state championships and gone on to have prolific college and NBA careers. It really is pretty incredible. And the best part about my job is being the prep sports editor for the Kentucky New Era and kind of being the guy that manages things on a day-to-day basis is the opportunity and the access that I get to these young men and women who are doing wonderful things on the courts, on the fields, on the tracks, in the pool, wherever it might be. We have a real commitment to athletics and local sports in this area, and I've seen that commitment since day one of being here, which really makes my job that much better. When people are hungry for something and you're the person providing the food, so to speak, it makes the job a lot of fun. It makes it different on a day-to-day basis. And my hope is that this podcast will be a complement to the other coverage I'm already providing, whether it be in written form for the paper, on social media, through Twitter, through our website, video components, whatever it might be. We want this to reach an even larger audience and continue to tell the stories of our great student athletes, of our coaches, our schools, our teams, of our people in this community. And hopefully that expands into Western Kentucky and even bigger. I don't know where this is going to go or where this is headed, but this podcast will hopefully serve for the time being as a great platform, as a great voice for some of these folks that maybe don't get the recognition they deserve, and really take you beyond the written inches of the newspaper and let you get to know people on a little more intimate basis. That's the goal. That's what we're hoping for. I know that you don't want to hear me drone on for 45 minutes, so I look forward to filling this time with you with conversations and discussions with people who I feel like will delve deeper into the stories that I get to tell in the Kentucky New Era Sports section. One of those guests who's actually here today is University Heights Academy boys basketball coach Grant Schaus, whose Blazer team will play later this week in the 37th All-A Classic State Tournament in Frankfurt. Very, very exciting for UHA and for his team, and we're going to really dive into the history of UHA in that tournament, talk about what he believes his chances are this week in the Blazers capturing their first All-A State championship in 9 years, some of the players that have been key to his run of making it 5 straight years to the state tournament, all that good stuff. Grant has some really, really great things to talk about. I think you'll really, really enjoy that conversation. So continue to listen for that. As for the New Era, I'm thankful to publisher and editor Taylor Hayes for the opportunity to pursue this podcasting realm, if you will. The Kentucky New Era, it's been printing newspapers and providing really high-quality stories and information since 1869. It's one of the more tradition-rich journalism institutions, not just in Western Kentucky, but around the entire Commonwealth. So I'm blessed to have this position. I'm blessed to have an opportunity to put together this podcast from the Kentucky New Era studio here in Hoptown, and appreciate Taylor's assistance and helping me make that happen. You'll soon really be able to access this podcast through KentuckyNewEra.com. I also plan to have episodes available for download on iTunes and other audio and streaming services and devices and so forth. You can also follow me on Twitter. I'm a big Twitter guy, as my friends will tell you, at Chris Jung, KNE. And for those of you who maybe didn't notice the logo or are not familiar, the last name is pronounced Jung, but it's spelled Jung. I've never really had people get that correct on the first try. It's usually Jung, which is what I was called in college. And I certainly understand, but it is pronounced Jung, spelled with a J, and that's the obviously the motivation for the name of this podcast, Young Sports. And that goes hand in hand, though, with our local prep approach and really the main point of content that we'll be focusing on here with the show. But anyway, follow me there for regular updates, and also I'll have plenty of links for this show, and you can be the first to listen to new episodes as they're posted online. And like I said, that'll be on a weekly basis, beginning with this very first episode here on, I guess we're recording on January 23rd, 2017 for posterity's sake. So I'm thrilled. I'm excited to be here with you. I look forward, like I said, to watching this podcast evolve. And I really do hope that you'll communicate with me, ask questions, offer critiques, provide feedback, and maybe if you're feeling frisky, even become a sponsor of the show. We will have plenty of opportunities if that's something you're interested in. We'd love to tell your story to our audience and to our listeners, and would love to talk with you about that. And that information is available, like I said, on the Kentucky New Era website and on my Twitter page, which I am on frequently. Enjoy it. For now, I invite you to sit back and relax, turn up the volume a little bit, and enjoy this Young Sports Podcast, first ever episode from Hopkinsville, Kentucky. Look forward to hearing from you soon.
Take it to a place we've never been. Maybe we could chance it. First kiss landed, driving off the edge, baby, going all in. Let it go where it wants to go. You and might not fall in love, but we can sure come close.
All right, as I mentioned earlier in the show, we are joined today by Grant Schaus, the head coach of the University Heights Academy boys basketball team, who on Saturday night advanced to the All-A Classic State Tournament, an event that the Blazers have come to dominate over the years. It's become almost the UHA event. This is the I believe the 22nd time that the Blazers have advanced. They're going to Frankfurt this week. I know it's been played in various places, but the 22nd time that the Blazers are in the All-A State Tournament. We're thrilled to have Grant Schaus join us to talk about the week ahead and getting a shot at playing for the first state championship since 2008. Coach Schaus, thank you very much for joining us today.
Absolutely, Chris, and appreciate you having me in, and definitely honored to be here, and look forward to getting everybody some information on the week ahead.
Yeah, and we'll kind of jump right in because I know you're a busy guy and you got to get back on the practice court today because I know there's a lot of preparation that goes into the event and so forth. But as I mentioned, I mean, this really has become, and I know we talked on Saturday after the win over Caldwell County, which launched you into that state tournament berth.
Sure.
We talked about the history, and you talked about the dynamic that UHA has in the All-A Classic and the fact that you take so much pride in making this your event and circling it. And the goal is to make the Sweet 16 a Rupp Arena for every team.
Right.
Hands down.
Yes.
But when you talk about the small school state tournament, an opportunity to go on a big stage and play in front of a lot of people and be one of 16 teams in the state to be there, this is something that's pretty special for you guys.
Absolutely. And, it really feel like we have the best of both worlds in a way because not only do we get an opportunity to reach the overall Sweet 16 and play in Rupp Arena, which is definitely a team goal we set every year, and but we also get to have the luxury of the All-A State Tournament, and in the middle of January. It's a little unique from a scheduling standpoint, but definitely feel like we kind of have the best of both worlds in the ability to circle both on the calendar and really put our minds to trying to get into both tournaments and do well in both. And with our history in the All-A, we've definitely taken a lot of pride in that, going back as early as 1990. The inaugural event that University Heights won, and I believe they won the first two, and have kind of strung along six more since. It's been a little while, so definitely feeling a little bit of pressure into putting one more on the wall because
Sure.
The last one being 2008. So I think in the past it's only been maybe 3 or 4 seasons in between at least a championship. So it's definitely something that as a coach you want to be, join that group of coaches, and I know the kids as players all want to. Put that picture on the wall. We all have, we have pictures of each state champion up on the wall, and all the players definitely want to put a picture of themselves and leave that legacy also.
Right. We were talking over text, I know, after the game the other night, and a pretty cool stat on top of the fact that in your fifth year, you're going a fifth straight time to the All-A State Tournament. You're undefeated in regional tournament games. Pretty special mark, and I know that you give all the credit to your guys that have come through, and like you said, it's a testament to your players and to who you've had. But pretty incredible to not lose a game in 14 tries in an All-A second region tournament setting. I know Trey Hollowell's been a big part of that, but how has that run been put together, and how have you been able to string together 5 straight regional championships?
Well, it's not easy, and I think sometimes people take it for granted. We're playing in the second region, and every year it's on someone else's floor. The first round games are on the road potentially. We do a blind draw to set the tournament up, so. It's kind of run the gamut as far as different places and neutral floors and home floors, and Saturday night was actually the first true road game where we had to beat someone on their home floor, and I think a lot of times people maybe look at the schools that we're playing, no disrespect to them, but they kind of circle University Heights, and as a coach, it's tough when you have people pass you in the hallways and talk about, hey, when we leaving for the state tournament, and you hadn't even played a game yet. So, but I do give all the credit to the kids that we've had, and I came in and followed Coach McCoy, and he was able to win one his first year with Scotty Hobson and Tyshwan Edmondson, Daquan Brown, 3 really great players with another group of role players that all performed at a high level for him. And when I got there, we had a couple of years of kids, but we hadn't had any middle school basketball for a few years, and so there wasn't a whole lot coming up. So we had to kind of move fast and get some kids in, and we were able to find a few that really wanted to be a part of what we were doing. And you mentioned Trey Hollowell being one of those, and he had attended University Heights in elementary school and a year or two in middle school, and had left, but then came back as a freshman, and so we were able to kind of piecemeal a few players there with some guys that were already in the school, and fortunately we were able to keep that momentum going. And I thought the first one we got, my first year with Austin Byram and Ryan P. Poole, Thomas Foltz would have been our seniors. Those guys. We beat Webster County, who was really pretty tough that year, and they had won it the year before, and we had to really take it away from them over there at Crittenden County. So once that one got under our belt, we were able to get the next 2, and then like I said, it's not always easy. I think people kind of take it for granted, but we have had the ability to, I think, playing a tough schedule is all by design to get us ready for this event. And after playing some of the teams that we've played, and especially this year, when we drop into the Class A, we seem very prepared for that, and it's all worked out.
Once again on the Young Sports Podcast, we're talking with UHA boys basketball coach Grant Schaus. For a lot of people that are listening that maybe aren't familiar with what the All-A Classic is and the reason for it, we never want to assume that everybody knows exactly what it is we're discussing. Kentucky is the only state left, to my knowledge, that does a single-class state tournament for the KHSAA, which I think is a pretty special thing. I know that sometimes there's debate on whether or not basketball or some sports in general should be classed like football is. But Kentucky is one of those that has stuck to their guns. There's one state champion, doesn't matter if you're big or small or anywhere in between. So what the All-A Classic has been able to put together for schools like UHA and schools like it with an enrollment that's a little smaller and maybe to some at a disadvantage when you talk about some of the bigger schools and their competition. The All-A Classic gives those schools a chance to play against one another and crown a small school state champion. Why do you think it's important to have that opportunity and for schools like UHA or whether it's Caldwell or Dawson Springs or Crittenden in the second region or Mayfield, who's going to represent the first region? Mm-hmm. Why is it important for those schools and for those kids to have a stage and have an opportunity to play for their own type of state championship?
Well, I just think it's a great opportunity for those small schools with limited enrollments that might not have the same advantages that a large public school or private school has, and it does give everybody that chance to experience whether it be a region tournament to get to the All A or the actual All A itself. The All A did start in 1990, and it was put together for those schools. And right now the guideline is the smallest 120 schools are who's eligible to participate. And last year we had a couple schools decide to sit out, and this year they made it to where if you participate in one All A sport, you have to participate in the all of them. You can't pick and choose. So it was a little controversial last year, but at the end of the day, I think it's designed for almost a Hoosiers moment, I think, where that small school kind of comes in or at least gets an opportunity to win a championship. And the Hoosiers, that movie was more about David and Goliath, but the following and the fan participation and the build-up, I think, similar in that the small schools get a taste of what it's like to be on the big stage, and they get to live their dreams a little bit. And I think it's nothing. It's a good thing. The KHSAA actually doesn't sponsor the tournament or recognize it in that way, but fortunately for us, the people associated with the All A have really stayed true to their purpose, and through some sponsorship have been able to continue it for now 37 years.
37 years.
Wow.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of tradition, and like you said, UHA won the first ever All A Classic State Tournament back in 1990. They've won a total of 8 since. UHA would be going for its 9th title, first since 2008. Like you mentioned, Randy McCoy's team that year. To get it done, you got Fort Knox on Thursday afternoon, a team that you guys have never played in the All A Classic before. It seems like you would have by now played everybody in the state as much as UHA has been there, but
right.
A team you never have played. What do you know about Fort Knox, and what will you guys be preparing for even this afternoon when you get back on the floor?
Well, first off, I've not seen them, had an opportunity to look at them. I've got some feelers out for some film. I know that they strung together 3 games to qualify for the state tournament. So anytime a team puts together 3 games to do or die situation, then they're doing some things right, and they've got momentum, and they're feeling good about themselves, which is always dangerous. And going in as a traditional powerhouse program into the tournament, it kind of puts a target on your back from day one. And there's a lot of good that goes with that, but there's also a lot of incentive for someone to beat us. And quite frankly, the first 3 times we were up there, we lost in the first round, which really kind of stayed with me for a while. But we were able to kind of break through the ceiling last year in the first round. Ran into Cordia, who eventually won the championship, but we've got to go in with the right frame of mind. We can't look past anyone at this stage in the season, and I'm sure Fort Knox is going to be ready to play us and ready for the challenge. And we're just going to go back. If I can find some film on them, we'll take a look at that and just kind of prepare like we would for anyone else.
You talked about Cordia. You don't want to look ahead by any means. Fort Knox is going to be a tough opponent in that opening round, but it does set up a pretty intriguing storyline with the possible matchup with Cordia, a rematch of the quarterfinal game from last year. And a lot of people may not know this, and I've got it written down again just to remind myself, but had you guys won that game and advanced to the All-A Classic semifinals, you were prepared to miss your daughter's wedding. Is that right?
Well, prepared possibly, yes. It was a unique situation. My middle daughter had set their wedding date. It was a scheduling issue with the church that she wanted to get married in, and it happened to be in Saluda, South Carolina, which is about 8 hours away. And it was definitely quite a dilemma. Didn't want to not do well in the tournament, for sure. Didn't want to miss my daughter's wedding for obvious reasons, but we got that first game out of the way, and I ran into Cordia, and I was prepared to make a tough decision one way or the other had we won. So I do think that she would have understood. Might have been something that she held over my head later or teased me about anyway. But maybe things work out for reasons that they do. And we played Cordia very tough that day. I felt like we were right in the game. Kiki Tandy ran into a little bit of foul trouble. Had a charge call, I think, late in the third quarter that really kind of influenced the momentum of that game for sure. But I think we were down 5 with 2 or 3 minutes left and had the ball with a chance to cut into that lead. And the guys they know the brackets, and I think the one thing that we can't do is circle them in front of Newport Central, a team that had won the previous 3 championships before them. So I think it's important for everyone to take it one game at a time, and if the chips fall where they may, and we meet Cordia again, I definitely won't have to worry about racing over to South Carolina for a wedding, but maybe we can relax and move even further into the tournament like we really hope that we can do.
Sure. And for those wondering, you did make the wedding last year.
Absolutely.
It was unfortunate that you lost, but you did jump in the car, and I think with a couple other people made the 8-hour drive,
8+ drive
from Frankfurt.
Yeah, and my son Noah, my daughter Summer, and my mother and my wife Heather were all in the car. We headed out of Frankfurt at about 3 a.m. We had played that second round game around 5. I think it was a 5 o'clock game, and so it allowed us to get back in the room and get a couple hours sleep, and then we loaded up and drove straight through. Got a hotel room at 10 a.m. to throw on some clothes, get in the shower, throw on some clothes, and at 12:05 I was walking my daughter down the aisle. So it turned out to be a very special day and very emotional to see, to hand one over. But she's married a great guy, and things have really worked out well there. So like I said, maybe karma and fate will shine upon us this year for being able to get that done.
Be a nice 1-year anniversary present too, to win an All-A state championship.
Absolutely, I definitely will live with that.
You talked about a couple of names throughout our conversation already, and again, we're talking with Grant Schaus, the University Heights Academy boys basketball coach here in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. We talked about Trey Hollowell a few minutes ago, a young man that eclipsed 2,000 career points a couple weeks ago, which is just an astounding number at the high school level, in my opinion. And then another guy that you just talked about from last year's Cordia matchup is sophomore Kiki Tandy, who he's already well over 1,000 career points, which is incredible. Those two guys have created a lot of buzz, and rightfully so. They're both very talented, both getting some looks collegiately. Mm-hmm. Trey, hopefully more so as we go along over the next couple weeks. But they really do, in my opinion, make up one of the most dynamic and exciting backcourts in the state of Kentucky, which is a pretty big compliment. They can both score. They can jump out of the gym. They can knock down shots. They've proven that they can do it on big stages. You guys have had an opportunity to play in some pretty neat tournaments, particularly in North Carolina over Christmas. How incredible is it to have a front row seat to those two guys on a night-in, night-out basis?
Well, it's been pretty amazing, and starting with Trey, 4-year starter for us, and like you mentioned, career 2,000 point scorer, just an outstanding young man, and I've been witnessing his senior season, and for a guy coming in with everything he's accomplished in the past, with a senior season ahead of him, you wouldn't think he could really build off that or top that. And I really, in my opinion, I think he's done an unbelievable job of just continuing to develop and to continuing to grow as a player. I think the Division I opportunities that he seeks and desires is going to come to fruition just based on his grades right now are good, and he's playing at such a high level. I just don't think anybody could not bring him in, because I know they're going to get a great kid. They're going to get probably the hardest worker potentially in the program. I was talking to Coach Sparks just the other day. One thing about Trey, and some of our guys have been dinged up, and of course injuries are definitely a part of the game, and that happens. But it seems like every day you can look out there whenever practice starts, and number 21 is going to be out there getting shots up and ready for practice. And his work ethic's incredible, and he's really shot the ball extremely well this year. I feel like he's tried to be a facilitator and get everybody involved. And Saturday night I thought he was outstanding. I thought really when we got down 10 early and he kind of went on a little 5-0 run himself to get us back in the game. And then of course anytime you can pass the ball to Kiki Tandy, who is also such an outstanding scorer, it's fun to sit back and watch those guys go sometimes. And as a coach, you don't want to just roll the ball out there and be criticized for just rolling the ball out there. But I try to give them a little structure, and being those two being the playmakers that they are, I know that they're working hard at taking the right shot, working hard at getting everybody involved, and it's been a really great watching them two develop and play off each other. Kiki has a tremendous future ahead of him. He's one of the best scorers I think I've ever seen as far as putting the ball in the basket. He can shoot the three accurately. His explosiveness and athleticism is off the charts.
He almost put down a dunk the other night that was MJS.
Absolutely.
I mean, he jumped, I think, from the free throw line and got it in the rim, and had he stuffed that thing, the roof might have come down. I mean, he is a phenomenal athlete on top of being able to shoot and score.
Phenomenal athlete, quick, but great ball handler, crossovers, unbelievable. And the dunk attempt, I watched it on film a couple times. He actually asked me to record it on my phone and send it to him. So, but probably a step inside the free throw line, and even the picture in the new era was him just taking off, and there was quite a distance in between him and the rim, and for him to know that he got to the basket there kind of says it all. And had he got it down, it would have definitely been a poster for the ages, because it was impressive to say the least. But yeah, really happy with those guys in that backcourt. Thing I mentioned to some from Saturday night, they did lead us in scoring like they have all season. But at critical times in the game, it was always somebody else stepping up and making a productive play, whether it be Malik Levin, who I thought had a great game, Drew McGowan, who knocked down a couple of corner threes right when we needed them to I thought they were both daggers, and then getting some stuff out of our eighth grader, KJ Crump, is another story in itself. And I think we're hitting on all cylinders going up to Frankfurt this week, and if we can continue to play the way we've been playing, I like our chances.
Kiki, I know, suffered an ankle injury, I believe, in the Paducah Christmas tournament, the game I was at, and didn't come back in, didn't play that, I believe, the final game or two of that event. Was limited in Wilmington, North Carolina for the Joe Miller Invitational, which I know was horrible timing, because that was just a great opportunity for him to play against some elite competition and in front of some big-time scouts and maybe even coaches. He still, for the time he had up there, took advantage of it, I thought, and had some good performances. But like you mentioned, it sounds like you guys are clicking on all cylinders. He's healthy. Things seem to be kind of coming into form at the right time. But if Kiki is doing what he's able to do and is 100%, that does give you guys a great opportunity this week. The question I get all the time on him is, what's the ceiling? And, are we talking and again, sometimes the recruiting and the rankings and that sort of thing,
sure,
it's kind of difficult to really tell, and you may not know until their college career is over how it pans out. But is he a major D1 kid, you feel like, at this point?
I definitely think so. I mean, from a scorer's ability, I definitely think he is. And, I think he would admit that he has some parts of his game that he needs to work on. He needs to work on the defensive end. I think he's a serviceable passer right now. I think he could improve there. But from a scorer's mentality and an ability to score the ball, it'd be hard pressed to find anybody as explosive right now. To be just a sophomore, that's to have those two more years to develop those parts of the game that that I mentioned. And based on some of the contacts that I've had from Louisville and Missouri and Ohio State's contact and Wake Forest. I mean, there's several major D1 colleges out there that Iowa State's another one, and Texas A&M, even from the Hoops Fest that we played in, we got some contact from that. And based on the communication that we're getting on him, I could definitely see that panning out and him ending up at one of those schools. You mentioned us hitting on all cylinders. I wouldn't want to leave out Taquan Hollowell either.
Sure.
The game Saturday night, I thought the little run that Trey started us on, Taquan kind of finished the back end of that, and when he's on the glass and when his energy levels up and he's playing at a high level, it makes us that much more dangerous. And he kind of gets a little bit overshadowed by his big brother, but Taquan in himself is a great player and another great kid. He's going to give you everything he's got, and he got a little excited the other night, made a great play, and his emotions kind of overflowed a little. But I told him when he got the technical, I'll take that type of emotion any day, because when he's being that aggressive and attacking the basket, that typically means he's doing the other things that he does so well, whether it be rebound or block shots, and kind of be our rim protector. So, I definitely wanted to mention Taquan as well. So I think if all the guys continue to stay together the way we have this week, and really after our North Carolina trip, seems like we've kind of gelled, and this time of year it kind of brings that out in us. And I know we're all excited about trying to go up and make big things happen this week.
You talked about the Hollowells, Trey, the senior, the older brother, and Taquan, the sophomore, his younger brother, and their dad has a pretty good legacy at UHA too. So when it's said and done, the Hollowell name is pretty synonymous with the success that UHA has had on the basketball court. Pretty incredible when you talk about what those three have done in their respective careers. But when Taquan's finished, it's going to be tough to look back at the history of University Heights hoops and say the Hollowells didn't have something to do with what you guys have been able to do in terms of trophies and banners and success and wins and
Sure.
and all that good stuff.
Yeah, it started with TJ in the 90s, and I know he was on a couple of All-A championship teams. Maybe a champion and runner-up, but I know he was in the mix, and I know he was on the 92 overall state championship team, which ironically lost in the semifinals, I believe, to Lexington Catholic in the All-A, turned around and defeated him in the state championship game. I know he was a part of that, and also we have a freshman in the program, Mason Hargis, whose dad Travis also played in the All-A for University Heights. So we definitely have some legacies on the team, which is kind of neat to see. Guys that that I watch play turn around and be able to coach their kids. And my staff, I've got two guys that both have all-age state championships, and Derek Quarles and his son DJ is on the varsity roster, and then Melvin Brown, another UHA alum that's on the staff that has a all-age state championship. So the lineage that is there as far as the coaching and the players, and it's just a matter of going up there and taking it one game at a time, and not trying to get ahead of ourselves, and playing the best basketball we can play and leaving it all out there and see what happens.
Pretty neat when you have three alums on the bench like that that all played at their school, at their alma mater, and are able to come back and kind of lead the way. What did you maybe learn, or what do you remember from your playing days as a Blazer that you've been able to apply to your either your coaching technique or your approach or the way you talk to the guys? Do you feel like that has an impact on the way that you do your job on a daily basis?
I think so. It's just being, that I've spent so many years there, and graduating in 1985, which seems like forever ago, but it definitely, the education I got there from University Heights was, I feel, just really set my life on a course that's kind of played out the way it has. Graduating from Murray State, and I know Coach Quarles and Coach Brown would say the same thing, and most importantly, that is that we're there to educate kids, and the education and getting kids into college and being successful after high school and college academically is the most important thing that we can do for them there at University Heights. And then secondly, the basketball side of it, and the athletic side with basketball definitely comes in second, but they're definitely related in their marriage. It's a marriage that both those guys were able to apply in their lives. We were my 2 years there as a starter on the varsity was kind of laying the foundation to really be competitive more than anything else. We kind of struggled as a private school coming out of the gate, but we were able to get some guys in, and we started to develop kind of the model that was going to lead University Heights, in the late '80s and early '90s, that really developed that list of names that are kind of synonymous with the school, and on through the '90s, where you have a Greg Buckner and a Darren Alloway, a James White, and I'm definitely Isaiah Victor, Harold Swanigan, Lamont Barnes. The list goes on, and we really need something at school to put those guys on a wall somewhere to really showcase and highlight all the guys that have gone through. Probably first as basketball players, but more importantly as high school graduates, on to college and college graduates. I have stories that I could tell you of guys that have gone on to great successful lives, and I know they would say that the education and the upbringing they got at University Heights was probably the primary reason for their success, and definitely a life-changing opportunity for them. And that's what I'm really excited about, and the opportunity to impact young men's lives in that fashion, and to get them to strive for college and to be successful there, and then to go on, whether basketball plays a part of that or not, to go on and be productive citizens and happy rest of their life.
Sure.
So,
if you're listening out there, Toyota of Hopkinsville, it sounds like UHA basketball needs a Hall of Fame wing to showcase all these guys that have come through and done some special things, and just an incredible program, so much history. And that's why we felt like having you on and talking about the history of the Blazers and what you're trying to do this week in terms of recapturing that glory at the All-A Classic, which I know is just so important to you as an alum, as a former player, now as a coach that's gone 5 straight years. We obviously wish you the best of luck. We appreciate you coming on and talking about your guys, and hopefully we can have you back on again soon to talk about a 4-win, 4-day trip and a first state championship since 2008. That'd be pretty nice.
Nothing would be finer that I could think of. Like you said, being a former player, really being a part of the history for all those years, and whether from the inside, outside, back on the inside, it is a family. University Heights is definitely a family atmosphere. The size of the school, where you've got kindergarten through 12 in one building, and the first thing this morning at 9:40 we have an assembly, and kindergarten and first grade kids walk in and high five the juniors and senior basketball players and celebrate that moment with them. Kind of is really special, and it's something that is really passed down from generation to generation, and we're seeing that all come to fruition as the school stays longer and longer, and over 40 years now. When I first got there, we were within 10 years old, so it's a great success story for Hopkinsville, in my opinion, and there's been so much good done up there that it's really neat to be a part of, and I would love to be able to add to that lineage of championships and put a picture on the wall for ourselves.
I know a big tradition you guys like to do, which I think is a cool one, and I've been a part of a few of them just from a photo and video standpoint, but you do the clap off, where anybody that's going, I guess, to a state tournament, whether it's All-A or above, but any sort of state competition or state tournament, the lower school and the upper school students line the hallways, and the members of the team get to either walk or sometimes run or jog,
right,
while all the kids kind of clap for them, and you head to the bus to get on the road. A neat tradition that I assume you guys will be partaking in again this week.
Most definitely. On Wednesday, yeah, we're going to try to leave around 2 o'clock, so probably going to have the run through at about 1:50, and like you said, all the kids come out of their classrooms and line the hallways, the faculty's out, and it's just something that's been in the fabric of the state championship runs in the past, and it's not just for basketball. We do it for all the sports that advance to that state level, and I've seen guys that wrestle, a couple of wrestlers have a run through, and so it's really neat. The guys really look forward to that, and we put on our travel suits and line, get on one end of the building, and within 5 minutes we're through the whole thing. But it's great to see the other kids out in the hallway. They're excited about us going. They're excited about the possibility of getting out of school on Friday. I think that's, for some, the most important thing. But we'll take it any way we can get it, and we'd love to have them all come up and cheer on the Blazers. And like I said, maybe we could bring something back to really celebrate.
Obviously, encourage UHA fans, students, Hopkinsville basketball fans in general to make the trip to Frankfort. Again, the Blazers open up at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, noon Hopkinsville time, Thursday afternoon, the Frankfort Convention Center. Fort Knox is the first-round opponent. I believe advance tickets are available now at school for $8. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Through noon on Wednesday. Tickets, I believe, are $10 at the door if you buy them in Frankfort. Hopefully a big contingent comes to support you guys. I expect a big run, and it's set up for a great week. Again, Grant Schaus, University Heights Academy boys basketball coach, thank you for being one of the first guests for the Young Sports Podcast. We really appreciate you taking some time and coming over to talk about your guys and talk about the program.
Quite honored to be the first guest, and I'm glad you called me and gave me this opportunity. Anytime I can talk about my team and talk about University Heights and all the great things that I feel like that are being done there, I won't hesitate to take that opportunity, and it's always good to be able to do that. So I appreciate you having me on.
All right, there's Grant Schaus. Good luck to the Blazers in their 22nd All-A Classic appearance. Again, Thursday afternoon. The Kentucky New Era will be there with full coverage. Follow Chris Jung, K&E, on Twitter for updates and scores and everything else as the Blazers attempt to capture their 9th All-A state championship in program history. We'll be right back. All right, we're continuing on here with the Young Sports Podcast. Thank you again for joining us and for listening wherever you are and whenever you're listening. A segment that I thought was pertinent to introduce right from the get-go, and hopefully this will become something that continues on as this show evolves and becomes whatever it will be, is 5 Minutes with Dad. And I want to bring on now the person that not only gave me my start in radio, if you will, but in life. So I guess it's the guy that's responsible for me being here today, and that's my dad, Wayne Jung, who's coming to us from Erlanger, Kentucky. Dad, we appreciate you spending a few minutes with us, and we think this could be a pretty neat little segment that we do, and we talk sports or maybe even your favorite craft brew of the moment, but just have a chance to kind of talk things over with you, and appreciate you joining us here today.
Well, Christopher, first of all, let me get some of my proud fatherly moments out of the way right out of the box, because I couldn't be more proud of you. I think it's great that you're doing this. This is an exciting and dynamic way to get information out to the consumers, to the fans, to the people that enjoy reading you and following your coverage. What a great way to actually get even more involved and get even closer to someone with your knowledge and your heart, your desire to deliver such important information to the fans of that part of the state. So congratulations. I think it's great. I'm very proud of you.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. And I feel like my passion to want to do it stems from some of our days together when I was younger, and back in the day of Roadrunner Video, when you were the president of one of the largest video distribution companies in Louisville, and turned that into a weekly radio show called Freeze Frame, talking movies, talking the silver screen, and gave me my first big break. How old do you think I was when I was reading the top 10 video games or titles for the week? You'd bring me on to record that. How old was I?
10, 11,
11?
12. Yeah,
it was
right in
very
there.
it was very monotone, if I remember. Not a lot of energy,
Number
but
9,
right.
Ms. Pac-Man. Number 8.
Miss Pac-Man, man, makes me sound really old.
I was
But
going to say Donkey Kong next.
man, but yeah, I would read the top 10 video game titles for the week as part of Freeze Frame, your radio show about movies and also about video game rentals, which I thought was a really cool way for you to tie in and get to the consumers and talk about movies and broaden your fan base and your consumers and that sort of thing. And so now I'm kind of taking a page out of your playbook and trying to reach a bigger audience, like you mentioned, and get to sports fans locally. And on top of the radio break that you gave me, you've also given me my love of sports, and whether that's been a good thing or a bad thing as a Indians fan over the years, and going through that disappointment. We've also had some fun times, whether it was on the Little League Diamond or watching games or talking about games. Sports has kind of been in the fabric of our relationship and really of things we've gotten to do over the years. And I think that's manifested itself into what we're doing here today.
Well, I would absolutely agree. Sports has always been a big part of what you and I have enjoyed. It was fun. I know when you were younger, your mom and I always used to talk about, are they too involved? Are they not involved enough? I always used to say, and your mom echoed this as well, that let them play whatever they want to play, and eventually their interests will dictate and determine where they're going to gravitate and what they'll participate in. And obviously, you loved all sports. You played all of them. I think baseball, if I were a guessing man, I would say baseball probably was the sport that you enjoyed, other than obviously playing football in high school. But really, baseball was what I thought you really enjoyed the most, and that was fun for me to see, because I became a sports fan because I follow that old mantra of those who can't do cheer on the rest. So that's really how I became a sports fan, because I was a terrible athlete, from scarred, absolutely really traumatized by some of my misdeeds on the floor, on the field. And so, yeah, it was easier for me to cheer for others that knew what they were doing than to try to go out there and do it myself. So.
You were a pretty good wrestler back in your day. I've seen some pictures of your hand being raised on the mat. You held your own, and
Christopher,
you went down as one of the best adult softball players in Belleville, Illinois history, right? Isn't that correct?
Yeah, right. Christopher, I want to tell you something. I won one wrestling match as a wrestler in high school.
Well, whoever was there got a great picture of it.
That's the picture that I have in my house for the one match that I won. And the funny thing is, I still remember that victory. I was going to Belleville Althoff High School, and I was wrestling a kid from Alton, Illinois High School, the Redbirds, and he was huge. And I looked at him and I thought, oh my gosh, he's going to just roll me all over the mat, and this is going to be terrible. And it was one of these things where we got started, and we were like a minute in, and it's like when you see a baby roll over for the first time, that look on its face, like, oh, that's what happened for me. I went to try to attack this kid. He rolled over on his back. The official smacked the mat that I had won, and I'm like, what just happened? Yeah, and there was a cameraman there. Go figure.
Great timing, and you'll remember that moment forever. And I always enjoy that picture for sure. I think you probably had more than one victory, but I'll let you go with that. Okay. But no, I mean, we've probably gone over our 5 minutes already with 5 minutes with Dad. Well, what I hope is that you'll come back each week and we can share some of those stories with the folks listening, because I know that we could literally talk for hours about all of the different things we've seen and places we've gone. And we talk about the Army-Navy game we got to experience in Philadelphia a few years ago. From the World Series games that we've attended together, and even the Louisville Redbirds days and so forth. Hopefully we can give people a little bit of a taste of where that sports history comes from and how we got to this point. So will you come back and join us again next week?
Christopher, I'm already looking forward to next week's episode of 10 Minutes with Dad.
10 Minutes with Dad. It's already increased. It's always a negotiation. He's Very good at that. Well, no, I do appreciate everything you've done to get me to this point, also, and supporting me over the years and giving me this passion for the wonderful thing called sports. And look forward to sharing some of those stories with our listeners. And we'll have you on next week for 5 to 10 minutes with Dad. How's that sound?
That sounds great. And am I allowed to say one more time how proud I am of you?
You are, but that's probably people don't. They're starting
They
to
won't hear that.
they're starting to probably think it's a little too mushy. And that. No, I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Then I
very much.
definitely don't want to tell you that I love you.
I love you too. We'll talk to you again next week. We look forward to 5 to 10 more minutes with Dad and telling some stories about the good old days and what got me here to this love of sports. Thanks for listening. We'll continue on in just a moment.
Maybe we can fly high, take it to a place we've never been. Maybe we can chance it, first kiss landed, diving off the edge, baby, going all in. Let it go where it wants to go. Yeah, we might not fall in love, but we can sure come close. We can sure come close.
All right, folks, that is it. Episode number 1 of the Young Sports Podcast is in the can from the Kentucky New Era Studios. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you come back for more of this weekly show. I'd like to thank University Heights Academy boys basketball coach Grant Schaus for being our in-studio guest today. Good luck to his Blazers this week as they travel to Frankfurt to play in the All-A Classic State Tournament at the Frankfurt Convention Center. As we mentioned during the interview, tickets are available $8 in advance at UHA through noon on Wednesday, and then $10 at the door if you decide to go catch one of those games, and I highly recommend that you do. Thank you to Wayne Jung for joining us from Northern Kentucky for 5 minutes with Dad, which I think actually turned into about 5 to 10 minutes with Dad. But look forward to having him on a weekly basis, a fun segment as we share some stories and talk sports from a father-son standpoint. Hopefully you'll enjoy that. And finally, and most importantly, thanks to you, to the listener, for supporting this effort, for listening this long if you've made it this long, and hopefully you have, and for continuing to come along for the ride. I really do think it's going to be fun. This is going to be exciting. We're going to do some really neat things, and it's only going to get bigger and better and evolve with time. And hopefully even the quality improves as well as we add on and so forth. So thank you again for listening. Until next time, may you always be courageous, stand upright and be strong, and may you stay forever young.